Hey coaches, it's me, Don Miller, and today we're going to talk about why somebody would want to pay you a lot of money in order to be coached by you. If you were a coach and you're wondering, why would somebody pay me money? I don't feel like I have anything that's worth money. You actually have a lot that's worth money. We're going to answer the question, why would somebody pay you, with my friend Mike Michalowicz. Mike is a best-selling business author, but he used to not be an author. He used to be just a normal guy with his own little small business, and he started a coaching company just like you have done, and he's figured a lot out. We consider him a master coach. He is going to answer the question, what is the one reason everybody pays coaches? What's the one thing that we're looking for? So you're going to get that answer in this interview today. Lastly, I'm going to ask Mike, my very last question is, if you had to start completely over, if you had nothing, and you had to make $100,000 in the next 12 months as a business coach, what would you do? And of course, he's got some great wisdom there that you can apply to your coaching business. All of this is an interview we did for our Coach Builder Summit. Thousands and thousands of coaches and potential coaches showed up at that summit. They learned from this conversation with Mike Michalowicz, but now we're making it public, making it available to you. So enjoy this conversation with Mike Michalowicz about how you can grow your coaching business.
Great to be with you.
John, this is awesome.
I'm glad you're here in Nashville, too.
I wish we were at your house. I mean, I love your studio here. I'll never forget you pulling out that record. I can't remember what tune it was. The most beautiful sound ever from a vinyl record came through those speakers at your house.
I know, yeah. I bought those from a guy. His name is Jonathan. He has a company called Oswald's Mill Audio.
It's unbelievable.
And he hand makes audio equipment with the technology from the 1920s. He won't use anything modern. So it's got this really warm sound. And you were kind enough to give me a great vinyl record.
Fats Waller.
That's
He's
right.
my favorite blues
That's
artist.
That's right. You need to come to the house.
You've got to listen to that.
I've got a new pipe. We'll smoke a pipe and
Oh, totally.
It's not a cigar guy. I'm finally like, I have to buy a pipe.
A little sweeter?
Yeah, the guys are not going to want to hang out with me unless it is. Regardless, thanks for coming here to Nashville. Thanks for coming in for the Coach Builder Summit. I know you have a heart for coaches.
Yeah.
Before I ask you 3 pieces of advice for coaches, just tell me why you think it is such a good career move to actually go into coaching, period. You have certified a lot of coaches in First and a lot of your other material. Why is it such a good thing to go into coaching?
Yeah, so to give a little context first, we have over 600 Profit First coaches, but also Fix This Next and Clockwork.
Do you tend to launch a coaching certification with
for each book? Yeah, so we have well over 1,000 coaches.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they're what I love about them and why to become a coach is you can have an extraordinary impact on people. You said something once, and I was like, oh my God, Don Miller nailed this. And I parrot this, and I do always give you attribution that people may hear something, but they want to make sure they're doing it right. They read a book, they want to make sure they're doing the book right. A coach makes sure you do it right. You have that confidence and can deploy it fully. Without coaches, we're just aimlessly trying things.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back on the growth of my business, I can name names on who coached me to help me figure something out. Yeah.
My original coach, Frank Michalowicz, met with him when I was 22 years old. He helped me grow my first 2 businesses and sell my businesses. He grew Konica. Konica is a photo company in Japan. Brought him to the U.S., grew him to $100 million. He just, on LinkedIn, he's like, hey, you want to get together? He's 93.
Wow.
I can't wait to see him. And he's done coaching, but I'm going to go see him. I'll never forget the impact he had on me 30x years ago.
The other great thing that I love about so many coaches' stories is they had success in their career.
Yeah.
And then they hit sort of 45 through 55, maybe 60.
Yeah.
And, people can't afford them anymore.
Yeah, he started at 60 years old.
Well, I mean, the corporate America sort of can't afford them.
That's true.
They find their job opportunities, limited. And then they end up saying, wait, I've got all this wisdom. Nobody wants to pay me for it in the corporate world. And they get really scared, but they do it anyway. They pivot into a coaching career, and they find their dream life.
That's right.
I mean, I will do this with people. I just had a late-night conversation with somebody the other day who resigned from his job. He was basically treated pretty poorly by the institution that he was at. Other institutions really wanted him because he's got a lot of talent. And I said to him, hey, why don't you do this? You've got a lot of skill. You got a lot of talent. You draw an amazing community of leaders. Charge $10,000 for a 1-year program. Recruit and only let the elite people in that you want in. Cap it at 50. That's $500,000. That's about what you would make at a year at some other job. But just do it for a year and take a little breather and go into coaching and then go back. And you know what? He's going to do it. But the whole thing is a trick, Mike. He
Never
will
leave it.
never go
Never
back.
leave
He
it. I know,
will
I
never
know.
go back.
I know.
He will do it year after year after year, and he'll change the world.
Yeah.
And he'll be rewarded. He doesn't have to deal with all the bureaucracy and the garbage that you kind of have to deal with in corporate America.
You once said, Mike, come work for me for 1 year. Just 1 year. I almost moved to Nashville.
I think you should have. I think we would both have one larger company.
Maybe.
That's
I don't know.
For sure.
I don't know.
Well, you've counseled a lot of coaches. You've
Yeah.
helped 1,000 coaches succeed.
Yeah.
What is give me the first piece of advice that you would say, especially to somebody who's more or less new to coaching or they're pivoting their career?
Yeah, be really effing good at really few things.
Yeah.
I think most coaches I meet with try to go very broad. Oh, I can do this, that, and everything in between. And therefore, they dilute their ability.
You mean in terms of like what they specifically coach on?
Coach on and for a vertical community. You match up those two, you become the authority. So, for example, I was working with a manufacturer recently, and there was a coach who came in and said, yeah, I can help you improve your business. He didn't understand manufacturing. There was another coach who came in who understood manufacturing inside and out, but also understood what was called theory of constraints, TOC. He's mastered this one skill. He was able to bring such impact to this business, it transformed it. And he's now, or was, and still is, the authority. I equate this to a doctor. Imagine I have a cardiac event. I get rushed to the hospital here in Nashville, and Dr. One comes to me and says, I do a lot of things. I'm a pediatrician.
While I'm in there, can I fix your teeth?
Yeah, right. I need the money. No, but another doctor says, all I do is this particular surgery. I have X number of successes.
Yeah, already you sold me.
Yeah. And by the way, I charge $500,000. I don't care. It's my life.
Right.
When you do a life-saving procedure, you want someone that has done it before. When you do a life-altering procedure, like coaches do, you want someone who's done it before.
So the first piece of advice is zero in, and I always say zero in on one problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem that I focus. And it might take you a while as a coach to figure out what that is. For me, just as a coach, I have a company, I do all this kind of stuff, but people who hire me, I really only want to be hired to solve one problem, and that is I'm going to help you come up with a narrative campaign. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're running for office, if you're trying to sell an existing product, I'm going to help you come up with a big vision, a protection against threats, and we're going to define those threats, a plan to get there, and a trigger phrase.
Yeah.
That is one thing you can say that bumps it all together. And I've noticed I can deliver incredible value on that over and over and over again, and I don't want to coach on anything else.
You're amazing at it. We flew in our entire team to work with you specifically. You're flying all over the country doing this. You are the world's best at it. And I think all of us can be the world's best at something. I want to give a little.
But think about how narrow that is.
It is. It's narrow.
So narrow, and I'm identifying with your wisdom here because I'm realizing, wait, that's exactly what I did. I've got a company and I run a company. We do a bunch of things, but me personally,
very narrow.
You hire me to do that.
Hey, I'm interrupting this video because so many coaches are charging too little for their coaching. They have a lot of value, a lot of expertise, but the money they're charging is not enough, and you actually know it. You know you're delivering more value than what you're being paid for. I have a coach's pricing guide that's going to help you understand what to charge for your products and even give you some inspiration on what sort of products you need to create as a coach in order to get more revenue. And here's the thing. If you are able to charge more for your coaching, the person that you're coaching actually respects your information and your coaching a lot more because they paid for it. The less you charge, the less you're respected. The more you charge, the more serious people take your coaching. If you want to be taken serious as a coach, charge more for really good value, and my coach's pricing guide is going to help you do that. Grab the link in the description. Just click on that link and grab the pricing guide today. It's going to help you.
My son gave me the greatest education ever when he was like 5 or 6 years old. We were watching the Olympics. Michael Phelps is winning his. Michael Phelps won this one particular race where he leapt out of the water. He won by 0.01 seconds, won a gold. I jumped up out of the couch and said, Jake, that
popcorn and Snickers.
Yes,
bar.
everywhere. I'm like, that's the world's best. And I thought it was like a great father moment. Like that was a teaching moment. And my little 5-year-old looks at me and goes, Daddy, Michael Phelps isn't the best. He goes, Jimmy Michalowicz is. And I'll never forget this. And please beat this out. I said, who the is Jimmy Michalowicz? Which is like the worst parenting tip. Don't say it. But little
How did he know about Jimmy Michalowicz? Whoever that is.
Yeah. Well, I asked him. I go, who the is this kid? He goes, oh, he's in kindergarten. He was just in kindergarten, so maybe he was 6. Jimmy can swim across our lake. There's a little lake in our town. He's the only kid who can do it. And that's when it's like, oh my God. The world's best is the first perception.
It's all in the
What's
context.
the world? Mine was the Olympic stage. His was his kindergarten class. And what's the best? distance. There was another girl, Sarah, who could make the biggest splash. And he's like, oh, she's the world's best. And I realized every coach, every human being can be the world's best if you're narrow enough and specific enough.
That's incredible. Okay, piece of advice number 2.
Yeah, don't swear like a trucker like I do.
We're not bleeping that out, by the way.
Oh, gosh.
I'm sending it to your adult son.
Next thing, don't give advice. Don't give advice.
What do you mean by that?
We resist advice. If you told me, hey, Mike, a little quick tip for a podcast, dress different.
Burgundy's not your color.
Yeah, burgundy's not the color. I may say thank you out loud. My mind says resist. Defense. When we give advice, we render defense. Give experience. Here's what we did elsewhere. Because now I can put my own context around it and absorb.
That will change the way I communicate forevermore.
Yeah.
It's so instead of giving advice,
give experience.
Give experience. In my experience, this is what we did here, and it worked really well. Do you want me to walk you through it?
Exactly. So there is a psychologist in Germany a long time ago. It got to be known as Gestalt protocol. And what he observed is that when we share experience and stories, people assimilate it in a different way of acceptance. When we're told advice, automatic resistance. Ironically, we can give the exact same information, but through storytelling and experience, and people receive it on their own terms. They actually start retelling the story in their own mind, so they hear their mind saying the story, and then it becomes more believable.
They're living vicariously through the person that you helped
Correct.
Before. Okay, how do you actually, because you've got a lot of frameworks, how do you then translate that into frameworks that you're having to teach people? Does that not count as advice?
No. So yes, it does, but you can do it through stories. So profit first is one of my frameworks. Right. If you take your profit first, you're reverse engineering profitability. Okay. That's the framework. So we'll say, a business will say, I'm not profitable. Say, okay, what do you want to achieve? Profitability. We have a client that used a technique to become profitable. They reverse engineer their profit. We call it profit first. Let me share what they did. Do you think it might apply in your case or not? You give them the freedom of choice. And then if they say yes, they can apply it. If not, say, what do you think the impedance is? What's an alternative path? And you share more stories.
I'm going to use this all the time now. I'm going to use this at home when Betsy says, hey, we should go to that new salad bar. And I'm going to say, I know this other couple have great marriage. They go to a Mexican restaurant.
Right. And they always bring this guy, Mike Michalowicz.
If it doesn't work, I'm going to call you.
They let a third wheel in. and he sits in the corner, but he just eats the food. It's amazing.
That or you have a doctor give you the I'm allergic to salad letter.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. You just slide across the table.
$250. I got that letter. It's changed my life.
I love that.
All right, third piece of advice.
Oh my gosh, define your life's purpose. And this is not easy. But I will tell you, anyone I compete with, anyone I meet in life, when they have purpose behind them, they become unstoppable. What I find is most people are running away from a challenge. I don't like my current environment. Let me run to something else. But when people have purpose, they run toward it, and it's magnetic. So here's how you do it. Look at your life's story. Often, the most traumatic experience we have in life become a moment where we say, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. I will never allow this to happen to me again or anyone I come in touch with. That can be a calling for a life's purpose. For me, it was losing all my money out of idiocy.
Wow.
Out of idiocy, I said, I know everything about entrepreneurship. I lost everything. I had to tell my family we're going to lose our house, which we did. And I said, God damn it, I am never going to allow this to happen to me again or anyone else.
Wow.
And that became life's purpose. On my wall, everywhere, I have signs that say eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. What I am teaching, I need to learn. And that's the lesson of purpose. Purpose becomes a calling for learning. And the best way to learn is to teach. The best student is always the teacher. So when you teach it, you're actually serving yourself. That's why you need to know your purpose.
I love it. When I realized that part of my purpose was to, cast a vision and protect from threats. When I think about what my job is at home, it's, protect, provide, all that kind of traditional stuff. But cast a vision and protect from threats is 80% of my job.
Do you have a personal story around that, like that you experienced around threat?
Well, I mean, that came in. Yeah, there's some. We've had to have some armed guards from time to time when you do what I do.
Yeah.
And that really allowed me to understand there's some people who have some issues that could actually hurt you and your family. And then you become a dad, and then you're just like,
oh my gosh,
all you see is threats. That sort of thing. But a vision itself protects from so many threats.
Totally.
Just saying we're going to build this preoccupies everybody's time.
That's true too.
So you can't it's harder to get into trouble when you're like, well, we're kind of busy.
Yeah.
But
I think what people think is when I'm coaching, I'm to be of service to someone else. But the reality of humanity is we do have a selfish component. It's called ego. We need to serve ourselves. So when we align our service to someone else with serving a purpose, we are actually serving ourselves. So in your eradication of threats or reduction of threats. You're actually serving yourself and reducing threats. It is now this equilibrium that you've achieved, and bring about the greatest strength.
I love these three ideas, these three things that help. Can I ask you some more questions? Because you work with so many coaches. How important is it to have a menu of products that you sell as a coach? I mean, how is it important, instead of just saying, I'm a coach, to be able to say, I'm a coach and I help you with X, Y, Z?
God, you just threw me the biggest lob. I'm like, my God. Well, there's two paths. You can create yourself, or you can take a menu. If you create it yourself, it can be an arduous task. You've created StoryBrand, and I know what you've gone through to get where it is.
Yeah.
I am the beneficiary of that because I use the StoryBrand system throughout our business.
Yeah.
It's an established framework that works, and it complements what I'm looking to do. So yeah, grab a menu, or if you want to create yourself, it just takes a lot of
Grab
time.
a menu, and a lot of these people who will certify you, and you certify people, I certify people, John Maxwell certifies people, on and on and on. John Townsend certifies people. Many of my friends certify people. Each of those certifications, in fact, I wouldn't even do a certification unless they gave you products to sell. You know, it's one thing to be a master in something, but it's another to say, well, I've learned to master whatever this is, and I got this product and this certification that I can go out and sell for $5,000 and make money. I just think identifying the products that you are going to sell is so incredibly important.
We just had a new sidewalk installed at our house, a walking path. Could you imagine the guy shows up with no tools and he creates the tools himself and then it gets to work? No, he came with the jackhammer and all the tools necessary. That's what a menu is, a kit.
Yeah. All right. Another thing, how important is a CRM, collecting email addresses, for a coach who's just starting out? When would you incorporate kind of that automated marketing system into building a coaching business?
So it's not even a lob. Now you put on like one of those little T's that kids use.
I got more lobs, man. I'm going to keep throwing them at you.
My gosh, get a CRM.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have an analogy with Profit First. When people talk about Profit First, they say, oh, once I achieve $1 million, I'll implement the system or something. Our experience is companies that are further along the path, it's harder to implement the right system. We have to rewind all the bad habits. The best thing to do with Profit First, for example, is day one. When a company starts, do it because you don't know better. If you implement a CRM from day one, you do the system right. You don't have
You're saying don't even wait.
Don't, oh my gosh.
8 email addresses in my CRM.
Be the first email address. Be emailing yourself so you can see how it's working or not.
Yeah.
But if you have to wait until you have 100 or 1,000, now you have to rewind all these bad behaviors or habits. Just do it from the get-go.
And, you know, a lot of people don't understand. It's a little bit intimidating. About 90 minutes after looking into a CRM, you actually probably know how to use it pretty darn well.
Yeah.
And everything is software. Instagram is software. Facebook is software. The only difference with the CRM software is it's going to make you millions of dollars, and Facebook is going to kill all your time.
There's truth there. Yeah, there's truth there. And plus, the Facebook software is owned by Facebook. They can turn you off the day they want to.
I owe the house I live in, the quality of life that I get to experience, the team I get to spend time with, the building that we are in. I owe it to CRM.
Yeah.
I owe it to a CRM.
And you control it and you own it. It can't go away.
Yeah. And, you know, that email list is incredibly valuable. If you ever, even if you have a solo coaching business, let's say you're getting out of the business, you're 70 years old, you've seen your last client, but you have 43,000 business leaders' names and email addresses in the area, and you can sell that to another coach for $250,000.
Oh, yeah. What a big asset that is.
Just say, hey, will you sit down on video and pass me the baton?
Yeah.
And you'll make back that quarter. The coach who bought it from you will make back that $250,000.
It's a huge asset.
And you can even say, look, over the next 10 years, make sure you pay me $25,000 a year. Or let's not do that. Let's do 3 years.
We have a mutual friend, Jeff Walker. He came to your house when we did that event. I can't remember the exact number, so I'm just paraphrasing. But I think he said every email is worth $10 over a year. So if you have 10 emails times $10, that's $100 of value in your list. You build a good list. I mean, I know yours is hundreds of thousands. That is big dollars.
Yeah, it's huge. All right, one final question, if you allow me to ask it.
All right, now you're going to hand the ball to me. I'll throw it at myself.
I think you're going to love this question. It might be your next book. You have just pivoted your career from whatever you were doing before. You were a Jesuit priest.
Okay.
As long as we're going fictional, let me just make up something. And you are pivoting into a coaching career.
Yeah.
How are you going to make your first $100,000? What is the wisest way you can make your first $100,000?
Well, the first thing I would do is I'd look at myself reflectively, where the problems or challenges I have. Because when I don't have an established avatar, I look at myself as the avatar and say, are there other Jesuit priests who have problems like I have?
It's a very wealthy community.
Very wealthy, yeah. Well, they're backed by some money. They're backed by some good money. Is there something I know from my life's experience or the community I've been in that I can solve as a problem?
Got it. So the first thing you're doing is figuring out a problem.
Yeah, you got to figure out the problem that you can fix. And I would look reflectively. The second thing I do is then I do a pray and spray. If I can't get traction where I am, I just try, or spray and pray. I don't know what the order is. But I try out mixed communities to see where I start getting traction. As an author, when I started, my community was white males who just graduated college and started a business, because that's what I had done. So I'm like, that's who I speak to. My book wasn't landing with them. They were buying pizza and beer with.
Was this Pumpkin Patch or was
no?
this...
It's called the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur.
I remember that. Yeah.
My very first book. But
how to clean up your business.
I can't remember. I don't even want to.
It was Dad Joke Central.
Yeah, it was Dad Joke Central. I got a call from one of the mothers who said, my son brought the book home and left it here, and with such a bizarre title, I started to read it. She goes, oh my God, you read this for me. I ignored that person. And when the second or third woman called, I called back and said, why are you calling me? Because I didn't write this for you. And the woman said, this is the first author. You're the first author who wrote a book that doesn't pander to me as a male. I'm like, what do you mean? Tell me more. And I started to learn about it. That was a spray and pray. The book was starting to circulate, but I started to listen to who was out there. That's when I started speaking to women groups. I got so acutely aware of this. My web developer said, Mike, have a picture of you holding the book on your website and make sure we're going to Photoshop out your wedding ring because you want to look sexy for the female community. Right. No, you're shaking your head.
Yeah,
no.
because you don't look safe.
Exactly. That's why I reached out to my community and said, I'm thinking about Photoshopping out the ring. They're like, my God, now you're a creep.
Yeah.
That's the biggest symbol of safety and comfort.
Yeah.
I was like, my God, of course it is. I started to learn the nuances of that community, and I was accepted in, and that's what carried me on their shoulders to the next community, which was the greater entrepreneurial community.
So basically, figure out a problem that you want to solve, then figure out the target market who's going to buy it, then get out there and sell it?
Yeah, start with you. If it ain't you, start out with the community that's around you to see where it's landing, and then hone in on that community and master it.
Right. We just got a quick masterclass on how to build a coaching business. Mike, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for joining the Coach Builder community.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right, great conversation with Mike Michalowicz. You can tell he is just busting with wisdom. Here's something you can do as a coach, though. Mike talked about the importance of letting people know they're doing it right. Even if they are doing it right, our clients have insecurities. They don't know if they are doing it right. So let me ask you this as a coach. Is there something that you know how to do really well? For instance, review a profit and loss statement or give a really great keynote presentation. Do you know how to run a really great team meeting? Do you know how to do hiring really well? Do you know how to do firing really well? If you do, you got to understand that everybody else but you is insecure about that. And so if you create a product, say a review session or a before hiring somebody session, an onboarding coaching session where you teach somebody to onboard a new employee, how to read a profit and loss coaching session, each of those is a product. If you have some confidence in an area that other people do not have confidence in, you've got a product. You just need to come up with a name for that, a process that you take people through, a review of what they're doing, and then some suggestions on how they can do it better. If you have some confidence where other people have insecurities, you have a coaching product. So your assignment today after this interview is to label everything, just define everywhere that you've got some confidence and list the insecurities that people have, come up with a product that solves that insecurity, come up with a price point, and begin marketing that so that the public knows about it and can buy it from you. You're going to start making more money as a coach if you have confidence and somebody else has insecurity, and you can bridge that gap. They can get from insecure to confident because of your coaching knowledge. Thanks so much to Mike Michalowicz, and thank you for watching the Coach Builder channel. Make sure that you subscribe. We've got a lot of great wisdom for you. Also, make sure to grab my Coach Builder book. It'll take you through the 8 steps of building any kind of coaching business. It's super valuable. It's like $20 on Amazon. It's going to make you $200,000. That seems like a pretty good investment. Go grab my Coach Builder book today and make sure you create this new product. If they're insecure and you're confident, bridge the gap and charge them for it.